Hello, my Prince of Peace family. My name is Miss Rose, and we're going to be reflecting today on the Gospel reading for Palm Sunday. 3 points I'm going to share with you from our reading. First, we're going to start in the agony of the garden, where Jesus is with his disciples, but he has gone separately to pray just with his Father. Jesus says in his prayer, "Not my will, but yours be done." And this is critical. Jesus, in his passion, is restoring what humanity broke. So, Adam and Eve, remember them? They were perfectly with God, but they chose to break that relationship. And now, God and us, we've been separated by that choice. We drug ourselves down. So Jesus comes and becomes human, but he shows us the key to reuniting with God is to not seek our way, but to seek the way of love, the way of truth, the way of goodness, God's way, God's will. So God's will be done. Second point, Pilate is questioning who is Jesus. He's been taken in, they're accusing him. He's saying, "Are you the king of the Jews?" Jesus says, "You say so." All of this is happening. But Pilate sees that Jesus is a good man. But the people accusing him want him dead. So he says, "Okay, I'll go to the crowd, see what they want." He says to the crowd, "Do you want Barabbas, a criminal? Or do you want Jesus, who's been accused of being the Christ?" And they choose Barabbas, and they want Jesus to be crucified. Jesus is being accused of being a very bad guy. They're saying that he's a blasphemer, that he's going against God. So, that's the worst thing, right? To go against God, to try to deceive people. We know that Jesus was telling the truth, but the crowd's been convinced that Jesus is the worst kind of guy. And they're saying, he deserves to die. Why do you think they would say that? Well, the truth is, it can be very easy to point fingers. We want to feel like we're good, because we're made to be good. But I am not made to be better than my sister, better than my friend. No. I am made to be God's. So when we are around a situation where we see somebody maybe being bad, maybe one of our brothers and sisters, is a tough case and they have a hard time, and we want to say, "Well, at least I'm not that guy." We have to remember that only God knows that person. Only God knows the truth. And it's not up for us to say, "Oh, I'm better than them, so I must be good." No. We are to be God's, and he's going to help us get through all of our times. And he's the one who forgives us. Keep that in mind. We don't have to compare. Last point. So they demand that Jesus is to be crucified. And then, on the cross, Jesus says something very hard to hear. My God, why have you abandoned me?" But what Jesus is really saying is a clue. He is saying the first verse of a Jewish prayer, of actually a prayer that we pray today, Psalm 22, the prayer of the suffering servant. In this prayer, the person, Jesus, is saying, "I am going through so much, and the people around me, they aren't being loving to me, they are hurting me." So we ask, why? Why does Jesus do this? Jesus takes the cross. Jesus takes on the look of sin. So sin looks like hurt. When we think of hurt, take an example of my phone, okay? Let's say I wanted to go play baseball. If I didn't have any baseballs left, and I say, hey, look, I've got this phone. Let's use my phone. Is that going to work? No, that is not what my phone's supposed to be used for. That'll break it. In the same way, Adam and Eve, when they broke that relationship with God, they broke away from the way we're supposed to be. So that now we're like a train trying to drive through the grass. It's not working. We're hurting the engine. We're hurting ourselves. We're hurting the phone. We're hurting our souls. That's what sin does. Jesus, in his agony, in his suffering, says this is the truth. Sin is not pretty. It is not better than God's way. It hurts. But I want you to have life. So I will take the death that you chose by sin. We all, in Adam and Eve's choice, they chose death. Jesus takes death. And now we get to have life forever with him because he gave his whole self, because he loves you. Remember that. And as you walk through this Holy Week, remember that Jesus is inviting you to something deeper, something greater, a life with him. I hope you are all staying safe and staying healthy. Remember, God has not abandoned us. God is with us in a deeper way, in a closer way, through our families, through each other, and here. May God bless you, and have a great week, guys.